Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. So I got distracted this morning, and of course, I'm late. I know, and my glasses are a mess. Anyways, good morning. So it's been about 3 weeks and a bit since I last did a show, and I was on vacation. Excuse me. I was on vacation. My dad took older sibling and I on a cruise to Hawaii, and that itself was an adventure. The weather, I'm telling you, the weather was beautiful when we left California and we hit the ocean. The ocean was angry, and the boat was pitching and rocking a lot, which I actually found comforting when I was trying to fall asleep. Walking in it was another story. It was hilarious. It was really, really funny, to be honest with you. I mean, it's hilarity ensued. But older sibling and I even did a bit of a Michael Jackson lean at one point because the boat was pitching so bad. And then, of course, we got to Hawaii, and poor Hawaii. The islands are just struggling and suffering with rain, and more rain. So, anyways, I am back. Older sibling said, "What are you going to talk about today?" And I said, "Well, I have things I want to talk about, but I didn't want to come in hot. I didn't want to come in super hot. So, just kind of easing back in. But, yeah, so first and foremost, I hope everybody is well. Good morning, Muddy. Thank you. I've missed you. I've missed you. But yeah, so we did a lot of islands. I'll just talk a little bit about my trip. We did a lot of islands. The big island was closed to us. They had a lot of flooding, something about the harbor, not being able to pull in the ship, blah, 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 yada, yada. Sorry. And, I know, my ADD. I don't even know if I have ADD, but it sure feels like it. I have some friends that try to subtly suggest that I get it checked, but who knows? I mean, I have MDD. I don't need more DDs behind my name. So, anyways, I forgot to take my pills. You're watching me come back to normal and reality. All my vitamins, but. Anyway, so yeah, really didn't know what to talk about. There are some things I will be talking about. I will be talking about a Hawaiian who was honored on a quarter in 2023, which is interesting because as far as, whatever you want to call people goes, well, we'll talk about it that day. So that's your teaser. And then I also wanted to talk, I had a little bit of a soapbox moment when my dad read a story. He's all, "I wonder if this is true," on Facebook. It was not true, but and we all agreed. We're all, "No, that can't be true." But the point is that some of the stuff in it that they said is kind of like, really? And I had a little bit of a soapbox moment on that because I have a lot of feelings about paying your dues and how archaic I think it is. So there's that. So we will be covering some things. And I know there might be people that don't agree with me, but as we get older and we start shifting different things, we start noticing that our passions sometimes change. What we wanted to be when we were 5 may differ from what we want to be when we're 10, and may significantly differ from what we want as adults, even adults that are older, heading towards retirement and all that. So it's just a matter of, perspective. And that's what this is the Aloha Perspective. And so, I got a little passionate too. And I actually had an aunt that, told me, you should run for office. And I'm like, no. I do not have, I struggle enough with patience. I do not have the temperament for running for office. Yeah, maybe a pulpit, but no. But anyways, so I'm trying to think of what we can talk about today. I did get this from a friend of mine. in England. She was cleaning out her stuff and sent me this and a piece of jewelry. And I'm in love. I'm in love with this. She's all, I saw this, I thought of you. And she's all, would you like it? And she wouldn't let me pay for shipping or anything. So Letty, thank you very much. I appreciate this. It's a beautiful, beautiful deck. I had some cards picked out and saved because I thought, hey, what if we did that on the show tomorrow instead? But it's a very long read. It's a very long read. So, you know what? The hell? Let's just do it anyways, right? I mean, I always run long anyways. The kicker is it's got clowns on it, and you know how much I love clowns. Do not love clowns, but I don't know. The deck itself is just amazing. It is just so colorful and vibrant, and this is Supernova. This one, I was blessing my cards last night, giving them the whole cleansing treatment, and this card just was it was the only card faced up in the deck, and I thought, I don't remember doing that. I'm pretty sure I probably did, but just in case, I'm all, oh, maybe that's supposed to be, the what you call it. Oh, and this is funny. If you look at this upside down, it kind of looks like Space Mountain. I mean, like, when it's right side up, you can tell it's a circus tent. But when it's upside down and you're looking at it upside down, it kind of reminds me of like if somebody turned a picture of Space Mountain upside down. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, Supernova. So let's just do these, okay? So the Supernova. Settle in, kids, because it's a long read. She also does the Rumi deck. Rumi was a poet, a writer, somewhat of a prophet. I love that deck. I absolutely love that deck. I have that deck sitting over there. But one of the reasons I don't use them on the show is because they can be very wordy. But I like it because she tells the story. She lays it all out for you. So yeah. Welcome back to the Aloha Perspective. Let's just jump right into some kind of oracle reading. And then we'll get soapboxy later. But not today, but later. Like I said, I told an older sibling, I said, I do not want to come in hot today. Because I was like ready to just come in like a rocket. But it's like, no, let's just ease back into it, all right? So, Supernova. Ooh, I feel like this might be a good thing. I know, I just read the first line and it's like, what? Something in you needs to be unleashed. This is not quiet and steady growth, but more like a wild explosion of creative energy and sacred fire. The sparks your rapid growth will create shall ignite your body, mind, and soul, inspiring you to expand even beyond what you believe is possible. Your light will shine far and wide. You cannot control it, but you can trust it. A rocket is capable of traveling far and with... What'd I say? Coming in like a rocket. Anyways, I haven't read this yet, okay? This whole deck is completely new to me. So a rocket is capable of traveling far and with great power and speed before settling into an effortless orbit far beyond the world in which it began its journey. To launch, however, requires power. A quiet and contained power is not appropriate for the task. A raw and explosive force is needed to propel the rocket from the known world of Earth towards its destined orbit in space. The oracle of Supernova indicates a time of rapid growth, so accelerated and powerful that can feel like an explosion, as if you were the rocket being launched into space. It tends to be of high intensity but short duration. Whilst this is a positive thing, it can cause shockwaves and disrupting patterns and create feelings of instability and even uncertainty as your world starts to change in ways you don't feel are within your personal control. You may feel like there is a powerful momentum moving you out of what your life has been towards some new, unknown destiny. Ooh, that sounds exciting. As it moves from the dramatic force of the launch towards the eventual peace, good Lord, apparently I forgot how to read while I was gone. As it moves from the dramatic force of the launch towards the eventual peace of an effortless orbit, the rocket will jettison the very thing you need to get the journey started. This isn't about disposing of the essentials, the people and things that really mean something to your heart, but rather about letting go of old attitudes, ideas, ways of being, and attachments to allow for utter freedom to ascend. After the intensity of the birth, the effortlessness of your orbit into a new world will require a different attitude. I got a few things to say about this. What you needed to begin your journey to start a new venture or lifestyle will be different to what is required to continue on your life journey. You need to trust in what is happening at all points on your journey. Don't hold on to a support system, belief system, or way of being out of fear. Sometimes it's just time to let it go because it's not relevant for your journey anymore. If you try to hold on, you will actually just be holding yourself back. When the time comes to let go, you'll feel it. People or situations will not be able to reach you or you them, even if you are making an effort to try and stay connected. Previous support systems and connections won't be able to support you anymore on the next steps of your journey. It's like they are training wheels that are no longer needed. They would just get in the way. So you have gratitude for what was, and with love, you let it go. The Oracle of Supernova reminds you that after the intensity of the birth, there's another birth of sorts, the settling into a new pattern of life at a higher altitude with more peace, effortlessness, and consciousness. Each phase happens naturally, and you'll feel when and how to respond to each phase in your life as you trust yourself. So the healing trick. To help you take the wisdom offered and put it to best use in your life now, do this healing trick to clear obstacles to putting this guidance into place. Play or make some music that feels full of energy. You might want to clap your hands, dance, sing, and bang pots or pans with the music that flows. Let it be as noisy, alive, and free as it can be. When you feel you've had enough of that, become quiet and rest. Close your eyes. Visualize, imagine, feel, or pretend that as you relax, you are one with the whole universe. You are vast and black, filled with stars. Inside you, there is a beautiful star exploding into light. It is far away, and yet it creates so much light that for several moments, the entire universe is filled with light. Just watch it happen. When you are ready, say this. My supernova soul expands into brilliant life. I surrender completely and allow the loving hand of the universe to hold me safe during my rapid expansion into the next phase of my divine destiny. I relax into the process and all unfolds beautifully. You have finished your healing trick. Affirmation. Say the following affirmation aloud to boost the power of this message and to integrate it into your body, mind, and soul. You can say it morning and or evening for a few days or even a few months or just at the end of your healing trick. Love erupts through me in an explosive wave of sound and light. Peace is created as the way is cleared for my true and immediate success. I love that. I love that. So when I said I had some thoughts on that, as many of you know, this has been kind of an awkward year this last year. You know, I've been in San Diego because my dad hasn't been doing well. I've been worried about older sibling because, you know, the struggle is real with the two of them. So it's been a lot of going back and forth. It's been a lot of, you know, checking in and making sure everybody's okay and all this. And in the meantime, sometimes I feel like things happen to kind of push us off course, because as all this was starting to happen, as I was ready to just kind of jump back into life, all this exploded in my life. And I'm not complaining. You know, I'm very grateful that I have this time with my dad. I'm also very grateful that, you know, there's enough leeway to come back and help with older sibling when she needs it. But, you know, there was this awakening that was happening in my soul. And I know it sounds weird to some people, but I had just... And you know, this is nothing metaphysical when I say an awakening. That I had just finished this long healing journey, this like years long healing journey, and part of it was because, you know, I held back, just like this says, don't hold back, let it go. But trust is something that I struggle with immensely, and I realize that a lot of it isn't just trust in other people. There's a deep, weird distrust in my own self, in my own choices, in the ways I go about things, because I don't trust myself to make the right decisions. I don't trust myself to do this, that, or the other. And, you know, I'm very grateful for the support system I have, because they kind of push me along and say, you got to trust yourself, just trust it. And when I don't think about it, I realize there's a lot of things I do that I am trusting myself. So it gets a little sketchy, it gets a little awkward, but in the process, you know, I learned so many things, but I was still holding on to this person that I used to be. I'm not anyone different. I just evolved. So, and I evolved with all the good stuff that I've learned even before my healing journey. And I've always been trying to think of the right word to use. And the fact that evolved just came out of my mouth is perfect, because I didn't change. I just got better. And by that, I mean, I did strangely enough, start trusting myself more, even though when I'm conscious of it, I don't do it. When I'm unconscious of it, when I just do things, just kind of like, yeah, let's just do this. I'm not great at patience, but I am getting better at going with the flow. This trip was a huge test in going with the flow. I fell apart a few times. I was probably a little crankier than I should have been at certain times. There were difficult aspects of the trip, but for the most part, it was wonderful. But there was a lot of patience too, because I was very excited for older sibling to go. She'd never been to Hawaii. This is one of the reasons my dad took us, was because he promised her that he would let her, make sure she saw Hawaii before either one of them dies. And don't die. Okay, just don't die. But then it just rained. It just rained. We couldn't get to the Big Island, which was a super bummer. Not just for all of us, but for me, because, and the older sibling, because I'd never been there and I really wanted to go there. I felt like I really needed to connect with this island. So we moved on to Oahu, where, it was wonderful. And a lot of things were closed on the tour because of weather. And there's a lot of things we couldn't see, but, we just kind of rolled with it, right? And she was excited because she'd never seen these. We finally got her to Pearl Harbor. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go onto the memorial because our return time to go onto the memorial was when the bus was leaving, the tour bus was leaving. So it's like, my dad's like, you guys should have just Ubered back. And it's like, yeah, we didn't think about that. I think we were more panicked about missing the bus. So, and it rained. I did a spectacular fall out of an Uber van, and that I'm still paying for now. But a lot of it was just about going with the flow, the reason I bring up the fall is because everybody's sitting there going, you just hear all this commotion, right? And, I didn't realize it was about me, because the first thing I'm thinking is, did I hit my head? No, I did not hit my head, but damn, I landed in a puddle. And then it's like, oh, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt because I've done this before. Let me put it this way. The last thing to touch the ground were my feet. So you can imagine the impact. But even though I was kind of paying for it the rest of the time, it really did feel like a like a go with the flow moment. I wasn't embarrassed. I was more stunned. But I'm a klutz. I fall a lot. Not as much as I used to, but I tend to trip over things. I tend to, I'm clumsy. I'm literally a clumsy person. And I think at some point in my life, I just kind of embraced that. That's just me. That sometimes I am just going to do falls and fall spectacularly. If you're going to fall with flair. All right. If you're going to fall with flair. And I fell with flair. But yeah, and I even told sibling, I said, the funny thing is, it's like, I'm not even embarrassed. I said, it was actually kind of funny, and I was laughing at it. If she was worried, my dad was worried. It's like, no, it was actually pretty funny. But yeah, this whole trip has been about going with the flow. And like I said, towards the end of the trip, my flow I allowed it to get a little disrupted. And I don't know if it was because I was PMSing or what, but my patience could have been much better than it was. And I mean, it was just, just certain cranky things. You apologize, you move on. And it's something I am working on. But the reason I love this card so much is because it speaks to that. I'm just giving you examples of things I've been through, trying to relate, something that somebody can grab onto. Because when we finish a healing journey, it's scary. And it is like the rocket, right? Think of all the astronauts that are going up into space. And probably, I'm assuming these astronauts are going up for the first time. I don't know if any of them have been into space before, but the majority of them will, probably be their first time. And it's got to be scary thinking about all this fire and thrust underneath your ass as this rocket is being shot up into space. But then, like it says, when you get into that peaceful place where, the rocket boosters are just, they let go, they're jettisoned. You're letting go of that boost. You're letting go of that part of you that got you where you needed to go. Right? And of course, they have the drone technology now, so it lands safely on a ship and, gets reused. So yay for no junk in the ocean or in space. But I think that's the part we forget about, right? We're so excited while we're lifting off that we forget about the peace that comes after it. And that's what I like about this card. This card is showing you and telling you, look, change is scary. Change is scary. And change is, you know, it's, I think that's where most people get tripped up on a journey, on a healing journey, on whatever kind of journey that you're on, is the change. Because we've spent so much time learning to be this one person and being this one person for so long, even if it was misguided. You know, maybe you fake it till you make it, right? Or, you know, you're hurting inside, but you put on a smile and, you know, you just say, okay, world, I'm not going to let you see the pain I'm in. I'm just going to deal with it myself. And when you start to heal, you're just used to that. My friend said it. She's all, you know, you get stuck. Even after you heal, you get stuck in that fight or flight. And you have, that's the first thing that you should jettison. You need to let go of the fight or flight. Because when you come into your healing core, when you come into this place where everything feels different, everything feels new, you don't necessarily need fight or flight. It's a good thing to have as your natural instinct. But the disrupted nervous system is just sitting there telling you, nope, 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 nope. Even if everything is okay, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for something bad to happen. Life happens, and how you face it determines how bad it is or how great it is. You know, I mean, some people will say, oh, I got this surprise for you. And they'll be like, oh my God. And other people are like, wow, that's pretty cool. They might have two different reactions, right? But when we are trying to supernova, and I want you to know, guys, I am talking to myself right now as well, because I struggle with the supernova. I struggle with letting go. I struggle with trusting the path, because, sorry, I don't know why my face is itchy all of a sudden, but I think we've talked about this before, right? Where we get stuck. Because when you're pre-healing journey, you feel like you have to be in control of everything. And going with the flow is fantastically hard. And it feels like a chore. It feels like something unattainable. It feels like this, I don't know, it just feels unattainable. You know, it feels like you were just drowning in your own healing. And it's like, well, what was the point of going on this healing journey? Nothing's working out. Nothing feels right. Blah, blah, blah. And that's because it's all this stuff that is literally, you know, if you want to give yourself a visual, been pulled off of you. And you're standing next to all this stuff that used to hold you back, right? This big bubble of stuff, like a big trash bag of stuff that used to hold you back, all the bad stuff, all the bad stuff. And now you're sitting here going, well, what next? You know, you've put down the baggage. You put down the baggage, and moving forward without that baggage is scary, because you're used to carrying something heavy. You're used to having that weight on your shoulders, and feeling lighter, being allowed to feel lighter is terrifying. In some cases, some people are just like, yeah, and they just, you know, they're like that rocket. They just take off, jettison all that shit, and they're gone. But some of us, we hang on too long because we spent so much time controlling every aspect of our life, whether it was good or bad, that we don't know what to do because there's no guidance. There's no path. And that's what going with the flow is. Going with the flow is, and being that supernova is saying, look, you know what? When the rocket hits space, there's no more thrust. There's no more power pushing this thing. There's just your power, right? I mean, the spaceship or the rocket doesn't just float out into space. No, they do control it. They have ways of guiding this. But it's not as hard. It's not as forceful. So when we talk about this, when we talk about jettisoning all this baggage, right? Jettisoning the rockets that got us into space, and then just enjoying the flow out there. Just know that in some respects, you are still in control. You are in control of your life. You are in control of the decisions you make, the choices you make, the paths you choose to take. You are in control of the people that you meet, the people you keep in your life, the people that you love. But you don't have to chokehold it. You get to decide, but you don't have to decide in the way that your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight. You know, you can keep acquaintances as friends. You know, you can, go to the barbecue place that you never wanted to go to. You know, you get to decide. You know, I know that was random, but you get to decide. It's not that we don't have any more control. We're just moving through life a little bit differently. Going with the flow and having control over your life is far different than being intense, tense, and just rigid all the time and controlling everything in your life. I have to do it this way because if I don't, it's going to get all messed up. Or I have to do this myself without asking for help because if I don't, it's going to get all messed up. You know what? If you think someone's going to mess something up that you're doing, teach them. That's how they learn. And I have been that intense person. I have been like, I'll just do it myself. You know, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Our nervous system is sitting there like, please just give me a break. You know, we're halfway through our life, Shelley Marie, give us a break. So, you know, I mean, this is part of me feeling like I need to live an anti-midlife crisis. You know, I don't want to go through a midlife crisis. I don't know why people even call it a midlife crisis. We talked about this before I left. You know, if someone gets that fancy sports car because, oh, look, you know what? It's because they can. It's because it's something they probably worked for their entire life. Don't judge it. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Okay? Keep your eyes on your own paper. What other people do is none of your business. What other people think of you is none of your business. If you want to wear that outfit that people think is inappropriate, who fucking cares? Wear it. All right? Excuse my language, but wear it. Just do you. Be you. If you've not been on a healing journey and you understand a lot of this, be patient and kind with your friends who have. You know, take their hand gently, guide them, say, look, you know what, this is what it can be like. Don't force them, don't over, la 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 in their face, because, you might scare them back into being feral. But gently ease them into it. If you are a person who has been on a healing journey and you're finally getting this and you're grasping it, keep moving forward. As my mom would say, don't look back, you're not going that way. And as older sibling added on to that, it's okay to look back as long, to see how far, it's okay to look back to see how far you've come. But don't stare at it. Don't look back too much. In the beginning, it's best to just don't look back, you're not going that way. Take the things that were good in your life, move forward with them. Learn to go with the flow. Learn to trust the situation, because even this book said trust is a big thing. Trust is a very big thing. And if you don't trust yourself, you're going to find it hard to trust your path. And yes, I heard that. I heard that come out of my mouth. If you don't trust yourself, and I'm learning, I'm getting there. So, Sammy says, circling back to clumsyhood, I'm clumsy too. I think I told you before that an old coworker told someone else to pick up a paper clip off the floor before I tripped over it. No, they didn't, but that tracks. That tracks in accuracy for for those of us, I should say, who are clumsy. It tracks hard. One of my favorite memes is this guy laying on the ground that says, go on without me. Oh, I'll be right here waiting for you. Or something like that, something stupid, but it's one of my favorites because I like I said, and the funny thing is, it happens so fast. Even falling out of the van, it's like I was acutely aware of the fact that I was falling out of the Super, but the first thing I thought is, how am I going to land? I'm carrying stuff, so is that going to get ruined? And probably all in that order, or maybe reversed order. But when I'm laying there, it's just kind of like, okay, I need to get up. But it's like, you're just taking a mental assessment of everything from head to toe. Is everything okay? My legs, my right leg especially, it's one big bruise, but and the bruises are healing, but it hurts to the touch, right? And of course, when you have cats, they like to walk all over you. So, but yeah, I mean, it was no big deal. I mean, I did post it on Facebook, but I posted it with a humorous a humorous thing that I said on there, but everybody felt sorry for me instead of laughing. I was hoping for laughs because it was hilarious. It was genuinely hilarious. But yeah, whatever. It's okay. I mean, I appreciate the fact that I have people that care, and I'm grateful for that. It's like, oh, I hope you feel better. And it's like, what happened? It's right up in the comment. It's right up in the description. I fell. And I did it spectacularly. So like I said, if you're going to fall with flair, you know. But, and then I ran into my drama teacher last week. Older sibling and baby sibling forced me to go to urgent care to get it checked to make sure there was nothing, wrong. But I ran it, and he saw one of my classmates, and someone I'm actually friends with on Facebook. He says, yeah, I don't know if she practiced it or what, but she used to fall a lot. And at some point, one day I saw her walking, she fell, she got up like she'd never even fallen. She just perfected it. And I'm all like I said, I need to learn that lesson, because when I fall, I usually go face first. But yeah, you just go with it. People fall all the time. Or people run into things, people do things. And yeah, we might giggle. And I think a lot of times we just giggle because we don't know what else to do. We don't know how to react. But yeah. Oh, an older sibling was there. She was just getting out of the car, so she didn't see anything that happened until I was coming around, getting up off the ground. She's like, what happened? And it's like, she missed her opportunity to say, what are you doing down there? Which is something I said to her once when she fell. I'm like, what are you doing down there? She's just looking at me like, really? But anyways, yeah, watch out for those paper clips, Muddy. Watch out. Yeah, I'll watch out for the paper clips too, and the binder clips. But anyways, I don't think there's more that can be said about this. If you are on a healing journey, if you're not on a healing journey, if you're just trying to move forward in a direction that feels different and strange and uncomfortable, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new path, maybe it's a new relationship, whatever it is, just go with the flow. I know it's easier to say that than it is to do that, but honestly, going with the flow, I have found, is really not that hard. The hard part is reminding yourself to go with the flow. It's removing all this crap that we have put into saying how hard it is to go with the flow. Because it really isn't. All you have to do is just do it. But we find 9,010 reasons not to. Why it's hard, why we can't do it, why I just don't understand why I can't go with the flow. Because you're being rigid and you're trying to control everything. You're being rigid and trying to control everything. I'm relating, okay? I'm relating because I get it. I get it. Because, yeah, I totally get it. Trust me when I say I totally get it, all right? But yeah, that's a great reminder for myself too. I really need to let go of that rigidity and just go with the flow. Because when I do go with the flow, it's no matter what is thrown at me, it's just kind of like, okay. I mean, even on the trip, right? When we first got to Oahu, it was nice. We were finally on land. All right. After 6.5 days at sea. And I mean, it wasn't bad. I liked being on the ocean. I enjoyed waking up, just ocean for miles, drinking my coffee on the balcony, just kind of like, it was bliss for me because I love the ocean. I love being on the ocean. And I mean, we wandered, we did stuff. I found the internet cafe, so I didn't have to break out my computer. I could go down there and write on an actual computer, not just a laptop. And I did some writing, finished one of my stories, and I was just kind of like, this is just nice. And then, of course, as I promised, I ate and drank my way through this boat or ship, whatever you want to call it. And, I had no shame. I have no shame. Okay. I was going to enjoy myself and I did. But yeah, when we first got to Oahu, it's kind of like, oh, it's raining. We were totally unprepared. No jackets. We couldn't, because we were going to Pearl Harbor, we had to put everything in our pockets. So we couldn't even bring purses. We ended up with some ponchos, but of course, as you know, ponchos, you can't breathe. So they dehydrate the shit out of you. But cause it was warm, it wasn't cold. It was a nice temperature out there, but it was just rainy. It's tropical rain, right? And so, and we got a little wet. Poor sibling. I wore my Doc Martens. I'm telling you, those shoes saved me on those rainy trails. But, so yeah, but you had no other choice but to go with the flow. And it was a nice thing. You know, just saying, hey, okay, yeah, well, I'm disappointed that you didn't get to get up there, but hey, let's come back. We'll come back someday, and I'll take you to all these places that we missed. Okay. And you know, like I said, it is kind of a bummer at first, but then, you know, you just kind of go with the flow and you realize, you know what, I'm in this beautiful place, even if it's raining. And, you know, and I feel I'm less worried about me getting wet than I am concerned about what this rain is doing to these islands, because it caused a lot of damage, and poor Hawaii's really been through it in the last couple of years. So, you know, but there was just a vibe, right? Just go with the flow. And sure that we talk about that when we're on vacation, but simply put, when life throws us curveballs, when we have to duck, or when we have to, you know, hurdle these obstacles, if we do it while going with the flow, the outcomes and the potential, I don't know how to put it, not just the outcomes. We can kind of see, we can see clearly what a potential outcome could be, but we can also see clearly the path on how to get through this obstacle. But when we get mad about it, when we get angry about it, we're wasting time. We're just, you know, just so tense about everything. And then later, you know, you're finally settled down. You're like, well, what if I do this? And you're like, why didn't I just think of that to begin with? Because we're not used to going with the flow. You know, I don't know about anybody else, but when I was on my healing journey, and even before that, everything was so dramatic. I had to make everything dramatic. And it wasn't on purpose. It was just kind of like I would get into a tizzy and be like the little Tasmanian devil, just swirling in all of this ick and gunk and crap. And then when you stop, you're just kind of like, huh. You know, instead of just skipping over the tizzy part and going, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. And we're not always going to be perfect at this. We're not perfect people. None of us are going to ever be perfect. You know, I am grateful, and, you know, and that may offend some people, and I am sorry, but in my personal opinion, there's no such thing as perfection, because when you reach perfection, it's not enough. And you want to be more perfect, and then you reach that level, and then it's not enough. And so you spend your whole life not enjoying the moment because you're trying to hit this perfection. I mean, there are perfection in some things. There are perfection in performances. There are perfection in, you know, just things that you do. But in our everyday lives and who we are, I am grateful now. It took me far too long to be okay being perfectly imperfect. I always thought I had to be perfect for people to like me, for people to want to be around me. And then I realized, no, you know what? Just be yourself. Just be you. There's only one you in this world, even if you have a twin. Okay? There's only one you in this world. And you get to decide who that you is. So let that rocket shoot you into space. Jettison that fire and that got you out there, and let all that baggage go. Let it go. I promise I will do the same. I'm working on it. Like I said, patience is not my strong suit, but I'm working on it. I am working on it. And I know, for me, it's just a matter of just taking a second, taking a beat, right? And just going, okay, just, which I'm not always good at. Sometimes I'm very reactive, and I don't mean to be, but I'm acutely, that's the word of the day, acutely. I am extremely aware of what I need to do, that I need to fix. And I don't think I'm broken, but there are certain things that, you know, that I have carried with me that just need to be jettisoned, right? Just need to be let go. So I know it's scary. I know it can be intense, but trust yourself. When you trust yourself, you are going to be able to move through all of those things. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Under Shelly Marie Lucas, I also post these up to YouTube, and then it spreads across the social media board from there. So these are just my opinions. These are just my perspectives. I know the healing journey is not easy for everybody. It was fantastically horrible for me. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I think that's why I'm going to finish it with this thought. I think that's why when I finally came to the end of the journey, it was scary to let it go. And so I have spent this last year, which, you know, even though it's been taking care of my dad, making sure older siblings okay, I have had this opportunity to just have some me time and to understand who I need to be going forward. And instead of wasting any more of that time, I just need to embrace it and say, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen in life, but I'm going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. You know, if I get rejected, I get rejected. If I don't succeed at this one thing, I don't succeed at this one thing because maybe this one thing over here is meant for me. But just don't quit on yourselves, okay? Don't give up and trust yourselves. Just trust yourselves, all right? Again, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Muddy, it was good to see you again. I've missed you. And older sibling, also, thank you for popping on. And have a great day.